I don't think athletes truly understand what it takes to be elite. Now, I'm not talking about the nutrition and the sleep and the training. That's obvious. That's the obvious stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that no one else sees. The stuff that you have to endure, the stuff that you have to face and overcome, that nobody else is going to clap you on the back for doing so. People are just going to expect it. And then when you do it, they're going to assume that you did it easily, that you never even had to go through anything to begin with. That's the stuff that I think a lot of people underestimate and simply overlook. Maybe they just don't even know. I genuinely believe 99% of athletes simply do not understand what it truly takes to be elite. And I want to be clear, this isn't just for athletes. This is for anyone in any vocation. As someone who has become a junior world champion powerlifter, I've set multiple world records. I'm going to look you in the eyes right now and tell you I have lost 10 times more than I have won. As someone who has chosen the path of entrepreneurship, which for those of you who don't know, it's basically the path of unemployment. You have to carve your own way. No one's going to hand you a check at the end of each month or every 2 weeks. You have to find the food. You have to go hunt. You have to go get it. Now, the cool part is opportunities are endless. And if you want it, you can go get it. But if not, don't complain about not having it. That's the path I chose. It's a harder path, in my opinion, because it's an uncertain path. As someone who exists in those types of worlds, I can confidently say that all of the stuff I'm going to talk to you about applies to both, man. It's all the same stuff. Why? Because it all comes from you. It's all about your character. It's who you are. It's how you move in the world. And that's what affects reality in real time. Your daily do's and daily don'ts, weekly do's and weekly don'ts add up to what you are experiencing currently, presently, in reality. Your habits quite literally build your future as you're living it in the present. I think that a lot of athletes fall in love with the idea of being the best, the idea of becoming a world champion, the idea of squatting 800 pounds, right? The idea of playing for D1 schools, the idea of being the absolute best in the office, of becoming the president or the CEO. People fall in love with the idea of it, but they don't understand that the reality of it is completely different, completely different. Not only that, people have completely forgotten what it means to love. Love is not just some feeling or some emotion. It's not just adoration. It's not just this infectious feeling of happiness and joy. No, love is hard. Love is a grind. Love is necessary. Love is accountability. To love someone or something means that through it all, no matter how hard things get, no matter the flaws, the imperfections, all of it, you will love them as a whole. You want the best for them. Not what they want, you want the best for them. Not what even you want or what you need from them. You want the best for them. You want what they need in order to be their best self. That's what you want. So to love becoming elite, that means you have to love all that it takes. That is a very difficult thing to do. Think about your relationships. How difficult is it to love your partner when they piss you off, when you catch them lying, or they forgot to put their dirty laundry in the hamper like I tend to do? How difficult is it to approach your partner with love and compassion in those moments? Sometimes, how difficult is it to receive love when you know you may not deserve it, you may not have earned it? Guess what? That's the beauty of love. And I think that that's important because when you love something, it's not about passion. It's not about motivation. It's obsession. There's a standard. There are principles. You have decided to commit yourself to something. Regardless of how you feel, this is the standard you have chosen to uphold, period. I have some notes here. We'll see how well I stick to them. But that's what this video is about, is what it takes to be elite. Now, we could talk about this all day, but this was on my mind because I saw a video on Instagram that really caught my attention. It was a woman, makes great content. I'll throw up her Instagram page here. I just happened to see it on my Explore page. She makes content geared towards high school athletes. And in it, she talks about what it takes to be elite. Now, she's kind of given it the third grade touch, I like to call it. She's dumbed it down quite a bit, made it a little bit more digestible, less abrasive, because it's high school students. But I wish I had someone talk to me like that when I was in high school, because I fucked around when it came to sports in high school. I didn't understand what it took. I didn't understand what it took, guys. And then when I got to college and realized, holy shit, if I keep going down the path I'm going down, I'm never going to be anything. Meanwhile, I thought I was born to be great, and here I am, completely below average. If I keep going the way I'm going, I will never get to where I thought I could be. The gap between who I was and who I could be was just increasing, and the weight of that gap, it was crushing me. So I decided to become a world champion powerlifter, and 2 years later, I became a world champion powerlifter. That's part of the story. That's literally the first chapter of my powerlifting story. I had been training for a long time already, but I committed myself to the sport, not because I loved the sport, because I knew I could be a world champion. The sport became a vehicle to become a world champion, period. That's it. That's what it is. If someone had told me everything I understood at that moment in my life earlier, who knows where I would have been in other sports, man. And I think that this is powerful because it's not just about the sport, it's about life. It's how you approach your relationships, your schoolwork, your career, all of it. That's why it's important. So like I said, I have notes here. I don't know how well I'll stick to it, but I want to preface first with the fact that there are very legitimate, practical things that matter when it comes to becoming elite. And to be completely honest with you, there's no point in even fucking talking about them because we all know that it's there, right? Okay, so you want to get an A. You want to be a valedictorian. You want to be the best in your school. What is that going to take? You think the answer is to not study? You think the answer is to completely slack off, to not pay attention, to go out every weekend and party with your boys? Obviously not. The answer is probably the complete opposite. To lift every stone, look through every nook and cranny, make sure you cover your bases in every way possible. Go the extra mile every single day. Meet with the professors after school. Not just receive tutoring, but give tutoring because you know if you can teach it, then you truly understand it. That's probably what it would take, right? Okay. Same thing in everything else. It's just getting into this mode of going the extra mile. And if you want to be an elite individual, an ultimate human, you just apply it to everything in your life. You become the type of person who does that. It's not just, oh, well, when I'm powerlifting, I'm going to go the extra mile, but when I'm in my relationship, I'm not. Nah, that doesn't cut it, brother. We have morals and standards that have to exist within us regardless of the externals, period. Otherwise, dude, you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything, right? So you need to have this internal locus of control. It's your character that matters because that will affect things outwards, as we mentioned earlier. So this is stuff that's going to affect everything, right? I don't really think it's worth talking about all the little minutia, the little things that we need to do, because you guys already know that. All right. What I do want to talk about, though, are the things that, as I said before, no one's talking about, period. No one's understanding. No one's shining a light on. And I think it's absolutely absurd because I'm going through this stuff, and I started to question at one point in my life, like, am I the only fucking one who's dealing with this? Am I the only one who's having this issue, who's struggling, who's suffering? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is it supposed to be like this? And it wasn't until I started to wake the fuck up and realize, man, like there is no shortcut. Embrace it. It feels hard because it is. That's a good thing. And it wasn't until guys, you have to understand, like I grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger, C.T. Fletcher, Ronnie Coleman, like some heavy hitters early on that just had this vicious, tenacious attitude and ambition towards everything and were positive humans. That's what I grew up with. So that's what I saw. That's what I aspired to be like. And now today we've got guys like David Goggins, Dr. Jordan Peterson. These are people that are facing adversity head on in public and not just speaking what we should be doing, but they're living it. So now we have more than enough examples to say, if you want to be elite, you're going to go through some shit. Period. One of the things, there's a bunch of them here, but one of the things that you guys need to understand is losing is necessary. It's just as important as breathing. And some people don't understand why that is the case. They think that there's a negative connotation to losing. There's this negative piece to losing. And I don't agree with that. I think that losing is really beneficial. It hurts and it sucks. But the best growth I've ever seen in my life has come from true stress, unbearable stress. And it's so hard to embrace that because you want to get better, you want to get stronger, and yet you know that what it's going to take to do that is something that's really going to break you down. That's the only way. That's the only way. So what I'm trying to say here is whether you win or you lose, tomorrow is day one anyway. So let go of the outcome. You're not here. You don't exist to to live up to someone else's expectations. You exist to live up to your own. Those expectations are set by an innate potential, an innate seed of greatness that's been planted within you. That's the bar. Now, I truly believe that if you best yourself, if you become the ultimate version of you, you will become the ultimate version, period, by nature. I know that if I try to become the absolute strongest, the best version of myself, I will win, period. I don't even have to worry about my competition because that's how great my potential is. And you have to think the same way. So again, losing, it's not, don't even, it's going to happen, number one. Okay, it's like I used to take Kempo. And in Kempo, part of our lessons it was like knife fighting. And one of the very first lessons I learned was like, my sensei said, you're going to get cut. When you're in a knife fight, expect to get cut. The key with learning how to fight with knives is not to figure out how to not get cut. It's to figure out where to get cut. And I thought that was really helpful, really profound. It's like in boxing, like you're going to get hit. So why don't we learn how to defend properly so we know where to get hit, how to absorb these hits, how to make sure that we can work with it, manipulate it, use them to our advantage. It's the same thing with this stuff, man. It's the same exact thing. Losing is only a true loss if you don't use it, if you don't leverage it, period. All right? Next day is day one anyway. Let's see, what else do we have here? Isolation. I think people who understand what it takes to be elite, they're isolated. Or at least to some degree, they seek isolation. I can tell you right now, powerlifting is a very lonely sport. Yes, I have a coach. He's online. Yes, I've had nutritionists. They're online. Day of the meet, I have someone who handles me. That's in person. But no one can step on that platform and no one can execute for me. When I'm here training, no one can lift these weights for me. It's me. That's it. No one can help me. And the night before the competition, I know that no one can come and save me. No one's going to be there. People can root for me. People can doubt me. All this shit can be going on in the external. It's not going to have any effect. At the end of the day, it's on me. That's lonely. That's very lonely because that means 100% of the outcome is on your shoulders. You are responsible for 100%, which is a great thing, also a terrible thing. Great because you know that you have control, or at least some. Terrible because if you don't do well, it's on you. You know it's your fault. You know you weren't good enough. And that can be very heartbreaking. But again, that stress is important so long as you leverage it. So isolation, all right? I can tell you right now that one of the heaviest costs that I had to learn to pay during my pursuit and in my current pursuit of becoming elite at the things that I'm pursuing is being misunderstood and misinterpreted, being doubted and criticized. It used to bother me so much when people would misinterpret me and misunderstand me. I'd say one thing and they think I'm talking about them and I'm talking in a negative way. I'd say this thing and they think, oh, Gavin's a piece of shit. He would say this, da, da, da. They don't know me. They don't know me. And what I quickly realized is it is not my responsibility to help them understand. So long as my relationship with Christ is intact, so long as I know who I am and I am moving with purpose, moving with good intention, I am moving with righteousness as best as I can, nobody's perfect, then fuck what they think. Period. I'm here to lead. You can follow if you'd like, but I'm not asking you to. Half the time, I don't even know where I'm going. I try my best to trust him, to trust in the ambitions he's placed on my heart, and to trust in these values that I've created for myself, to try my best to stand on them, which has been difficult, especially in a world like this. But I think that's the best you can do. And people don't know. People don't know your situation. I don't know people's. You know how quick I am sometimes to judge, to be pissed off, to be annoyed and frustrated with somebody, a decision they make, something they say, whatever. I have no idea what that person is going through. I have no idea what they've had to endure to get to where they are now. It's always easy. It's always the default to think, oh, I have it worse. I have it worse. Nobody gets me. And woe is me. Play this victim mentality bullshit. It's easy to do that. You know why that's the default? Because of sin. This is where we are. Because what does that then lead to? That's the enemy. I mean, what does that lead to then? A negative feedback loop. How do you act in the world then when that's what you think? Are you going to make any progress like that? Of course not. Of course not. That's why they say your attitude predicts your altitude. It's important. Point I'm trying to say is you will be doubted, you will be criticized, people will misinterpret you, people will misunderstand you, and that is okay. It is not a reflection of you. If nothing else, it is a reflection of them. Now, I will say that as you grow, as you mature, you have a moral obligation and responsibility to communicate well. You're not always going to get it right, but you must communicate well because people's lives are at stake, okay? If I try and act cool and I want popularity and I start saying, yeah, take drugs and fuck a bunch of women and, you know, and drink every weekend and blow your money on bullshit and da-da-da, maybe that gains me some popularity. People are like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah. But look how many lives I potentially ruin when I do that. What am I teaching these people? Am I leading them properly? Am I shepherding them properly? Stewarding them properly? No. I have 3 younger siblings. I'm not a perfect brother. Far from it. But the one thing I've told myself is I do not want to lead them wrong. I may not be able to lead them right because I'm still trying to figure shit out too. But the one thing I don't want to do is lead them wrong. I personally believe it is our responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. If you plan on being elite, guess what? People are going to watch. People are going to learn from you. People are going to study you. Sorry, sucks to suck. Step it up and be a man or a woman. But you get what I'm trying to say. Grab your nuts and let's go. Like let's be who we're meant to be in the best light possible. And it's okay if they don't understand. They don't have to. And I'm not at all comparing myself or anyone on this planet to Jesus Christ himself, but you're talking about the most perfect man ever and the most powerful. God himself in the flesh was misunderstood and brutally crucified. Misinterpreted, misunderstood, criticized, doubted. To this day, criticized and doubted. So you think that you're going to be able to escape it somehow? No, man. No. Second thing here is obsession. And you've heard this before. You have to become obsessed. It's not about being passionate. It's not about being motivated. It's about becoming obsessed. And the idea here isn't to become obsessed with the outcome. The idea here is to shift from outcome to identity. You become obsessed with becoming the type of person who does X, who achieves X. Okay, the example I'll give you, if we want to run a sub 3-hour marathon or you want to become a world champion powerlifter, we have to think to ourselves, like, what would the type of person who does that do? What would they do every day? Like, what's their lifestyle? How do they think? How do they eat? What times do they sleep, right? Like all of this stuff we need to structure. And then we just go fucking be that person. We just go do it. It's that simple. And that's why I don't like this idea of like, you have to work your ass off and work harder than everybody else in the room. Like, dude, I know guys who are working 16-hour shifts out in the fields and the mines every single day. You think that they're not working harder than the guys who are sitting in an office on a board of executives for a company, as an executive on a board for a company? My point is, working hard isn't really it. It's obsession with an ideal that will lead you to that, okay? So I want you to start to think like, well, these are all of the things that are getting me closer to my goals. These are all the things I need to master in order to achieve this. So let me just go do it. If it's hard, if it's not hard, who cares? It's a job. I have to execute point blank. So it's not about working hard and, and all that stuff. That comes with the territory. There's no negotiating that, but we were never going to negotiate that. We all know that it takes incredibly hard work, incredibly disciplined and consistent ethic. But at the end of the day, it's what needs to be done to achieve what we're trying to accomplish, period. And there's no emotion about it. There's no feelings about it, all right? The third thing that I have on here that I wanted to mention is tolerance. I think you need to have a tolerance, which I guess would be like a willingness to endure what others avoid, okay? And this might be boredom. This could be fatigue. This could be insecurity. This could be injury. This could be failure, losing, like we mentioned before. But you have to have a high pain tolerance, mentally and physically and spiritually. You really do. It gets easier if you have a relationship with Christ, but if you're somebody who doesn't, that's okay. It's just gonna be a little bit harder, I think, because I've been that person. But tolerance is extremely important, extremely. Honesty. That's the, what are we on for? The fourth thing, honesty. Brutal accountability. There's no other way around it. You've heard this before. You have to be willing to look in the mirror and understand yourself. Look yourself in the eyes. You have to. It's really hard to do. Sometimes I can't do it. It's very difficult. If you're truly looking, why aren't you where you want to be? What are you lacking? What patterns do you see? What behaviors do you see? What habits do you see? What decisions are you making that are slowly and silently killing you and suffocating you? What are you compromising? Now, first step is to become honest about that. Speak the truth. The second step is the hardest one, believe it or not, and that is to do something about it. Being brutally honest with yourself, holding yourself accountable is a skill. It is an art, okay? This is not something that comes naturally to most people. Self-awareness is, but there's a difference between being self-aware and being the type of person who's going to go the extra mile and do something about what they see, okay? And again, that's what it is. That's what being brutally honest with yourself requires. That's what it demands. The example I'll give you is when I missed weight in 2024 at a national championship. I was competing to represent the Team USA. I was on a 5-week turnaround from the Sheffield Championship over in the UK, which is a fast turnaround, but to me, it's like I'm an athlete. I'm here to execute. I'm not going to bitch about this. This is an opportunity and a privilege to show up and show out, so I'm going to do it. I don't care about the turnaround. So I go in. I feel pretty ready. Coming off the competition, I was doing well, so I felt strong. Problem was, my weight was out of whack, man. My weight was not under control. I was coming in way too heavy, and I knew the cut was going to be tough. Gut cut and water cut completely fucked it up. Just didn't do my due diligence, just didn't do it properly. The sauna just didn't work. My body wouldn't let go of the water. I was in saunas for 6 to 8 hours, and I barely lost anything. It was impossible. I did the hot bath. I mean, I could go on and on about how hard and arduous that whole process was, and I missed weight. When you miss weight in powerlifting, you cannot compete, obviously, in the weight class you registered for. Problem is, you become a guest lifter at a national championship. You can compete, but it doesn't really count towards anything. Of course, I still competed, which was a tough decision to make, but I made it. It never feels good to try and compete after you've missed weight. You feel like you've let a lot of people down and you've kind of lost your opportunity to do the one thing you showed up to do, right? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say here is I competed, but I didn't get my spot. Didn't even get the chance to get my spot. And why? Because I wasn't on top of my weight. I wasn't on top of my food. I wasn't on top of my protocols. If I had been brutally honest with myself and told myself like, hey, Gavin, you need to clean this shit up, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Well, the good news is after that happened, I was brutally honest with myself. Dotted every I, crossed every T. 5 months later, I was the first 93 kg lifter to break the 900 kilo barrier. And that's also where I set 751 pounds as like the world record squat at that time. And in that moment became the number 193 in human history and in the world. You know, it wasn't a world championship, but on paper at least. The point that I'm trying to make here is the version of me that missed weight and missed his opportunity to represent Team USA versus the version of me who set 2 world records and became one of the best 93s in human history. The difference was honesty. As a result of being honest and holding myself accountable, I was able to make changes. Inputs equal outputs, okay? All right, the next thing I have on here is courage. Now, courage is a big deal, and we could talk about this for a while. I'm going to try and make it short, sweet, and simple. First and foremost, you must have the courage to fail forwards. In other words, you're going to be aggressive. You're going to take risks. You're going to make leaps. You will fall. You will falter. You will fail, 100%. You also have to have the courage to fail in front of people. Really important. If you plan on being elite and being the best, people are going to watch. That's the whole point. It's part of the reason why we do what we do. It's because people are going to watch. You have to make sure that you are absolutely okay with failing in front of everyone. All of your mistakes are on display. You know how you become okay with that? By detaching from it, by not giving a fuck. I'd rather try 1,000 times and fail 1,000 times than never try at all. Teddy Roosevelt wrote a speech called Man in the Arena. Everyone should go read that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read that. I have it somewhere in here, actually. Very powerful. But that's what this is about. The man in the arena. It's not the critic who counts. It's the man who steps into the arena to fight. The person who takes it on themselves, who's going to give it an honest try, an honest go. That takes courage. Mind you, courage, guys, courage doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. In fact, it's the opposite. It's because you feel fear that you now have the opportunity to be courageous. When you're going to try to be elite, you're going to try to do what no human has done. That's essentially what you are doing. You're trying to be extraordinary. Don't you think it's going to take more than what it takes to be average? Of course it does. That's what the fuck we sign up for. That's the point. It wouldn't be worth anything if it was easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it. The idea is you have to be courageous. You have to fully commit. There are no plan Bs. There's no second route, second option. There's no backup plan. You are all in or not at all. Okay? Courage. Only a few more things here. Fundamentals. You have to master the fundamentals. A lot of people underestimate this. A lot of people think that to be elite, there's some secret sauce, there's some special tip, trick, secret, whatever, that they need to learn, they need to discover, find out, and this is going to make all the difference. No, it's not, guys. It's mastering the fundamentals, period. Master the fundamentals. It can be boring, but it's necessary. Ruthlessly prioritize. You have to. I'm sorry. I hate to be the person who tells you this if you didn't know this already. But what it takes to be the best, what it takes to be elite, is quite literally all of the other things you could be doing. All of the other people you could be talking to, seeing, conversing with, building relationships with. There are opportunity costs. There are alternatives that you have to sacrifice. Being elite requires sacrifice. Period. So you have to learn how to prioritize. And if you have a vision and someone or something does not align with that vision, you have to be willing to say, I'm sorry, but you cannot stay. Unfortunately, we live in a life where resources are scarce. Time is limited. Every minute that passes, we do not get back. Money, scarce. That's why it's valuable. Energy, scarce. That's why we need sleep. We need to be very careful with where we put our time and our energy and our effort. Food, scarce. Water, you could argue it's scarce. The point is, there's no resource on this planet that is infinite. Nothing. So, what does that mean? You have to prioritize. You have to be very strategic. You have to be very, very intentional about where you invest your resources. So you have to ruthlessly prioritize and cut away everything that doesn't fit. Point blank. The last thing I have on here is purpose. So, and this is something that I think a lot of people neglect. They forget when it comes to becoming elite, becoming your absolute best, and therefore the best. You need purpose. And a lot of this has to do with, well, I gave a speech, and in the speech, well, it was about the 3 costs of greatness. I'm actually going to upload the speech as soon as I get the footage. It was a keynote I delivered at an event alongside sports psychologist, Dr. David Cook. And in the 3rd cost, I'm not going to reveal it, but one of the things I say is the highest form of greatness is self-sacrifice for the highest aim. That is purpose. You do have to discover your why. You have to figure out why you're doing it in the first place, why this matters to you. What's the point? What's the purpose? What I will tell you is that if you search hard enough, you might not find anything. Just being honest with you. That's where obsession comes into play, by the way, because there's no more feelings. There's no more questioning whether or not you should or shouldn't. You just simply do. But what I've found is the cost of winning, the cost of being great is so fucking steep. It's so expensive. And I'm going to be very honest with you. What you get in return is nothing in comparison to what you've had to give to receive that. Nothing in comparison. That's when I realized it was never about the outcome. It was always about the pursuit of the outcome. The reward is quite literally the journey. The reward is quite literally who you become in the process of trying to achieve this thing, because this thing is not going to be worth the value of the journey of what you've had to give, endure, and go through. But purpose is what carries you through. Purpose is what makes it all mean something. And you need purpose. Think of it this way. People that go to the gym, they have simple goals. Maybe they want to bench 225, or maybe they want to get shredded for their wedding or something like that. Great goals, fine, but they're not super ambitious, right? And so when they face adversity, maybe they'll keep going, but it's not that big to them, right? It's not that big of a deal. It's not that powerful. But when you say, I want to be a world champion because I am not happy with who I am, I don't think I'm living up to my potential. I need to prove to myself and everyone who cares about me that I can be great. That's why I need to become a world champion. Don't you think that person's going to persevere through a fuck ton more than the person who's just trying to lose 40 pounds for their wedding? So purpose really matters. You really need to think deeply about what you're doing and why you're doing it, who you're doing it for. Okay, God called you to be great. You got to answer that call, man. The only way we grow is if we give our mind and our body a reason to. We must introduce a stimulus strong enough that will then elicit a very specific adaptation, a big enough adaptation to make us feel like, man, this was worth it. I hate to say it, but when you introduce that stimulus to yourself, when you face that obstacle, when you face that adversity, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel easy, light. It's not supposed to. I might butcher this, but I believe it was James 1, 2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds. For the trials produce perseverance. Let perseverance finish you, so you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Something along those lines. I may have butchered it. But it's one of my favorite Bible verses, by far. It tells me that the trials and tribulations I face are necessary. They're here for a reason. I'm not a victim. This is an opportunity for me to grow. I've been given this gift to grow. But what do I do with this gift is the question. And you have to decide that. If you want to be elite, you have to make up your fucking mind, man. It's either you're going to sign that contract that says I am all in no matter what, no matter how hard things get, no matter how miserable I am, no matter how tired I get, no matter who tells me that I can't, no matter who tells me that I shouldn't, I will always stand by this. I must do this. I have to. It's for me. It's about me. I know it's possible. I need to see this through. Those are the tales that we end up telling. Those are the people that we look up to. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Nobody wants to read a story about a knight who never had to slay a dragon. You need dragons to slay, man, and life has plenty of them. It's much easier for me to talk about this stuff than it is to do it and go through it. But that's what it takes to be elite. And I'm going to take it one step further. Maybe we'll finish on this. People say you need to uplift others and all that stuff to be elite. I don't think that that's necessary. I think that you need to choose who you want to be. And like I said before, there is a responsibility and obligation that I believe you take on when you become elite. Because people are looking up to you. So how do you want to lead them? What is your legacy going to be? You get to choose. Who's to say it's right or wrong? As a Christian, it's pretty clear how it is that I'm supposed to behave and what it is I'm supposed to believe and to think and how I'm supposed to love people. I struggle with it. Doesn't change the fact that there are rules that I've been given. There's a path I've been called to follow and called to walk, but not everybody's in that position. That's fine. I understand. But you do have to decide sooner rather than later who you want to be and who you will be when you face adversity. Actually, Ryan Lapidat, Voice of Powerlifting, he runs the King of the Lifts page. Phenomenal guy. Love him. Honestly, really, just awesome guy. When I lost in Sun City, South Africa at my first open world championship, he came up to me and said, "Hey man, I'm proud of you." I said, "Proud of what?" He said, "Now listen, circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him to himself." Adversity is not an enemy, it's an architect, right? It exists to construct you, but that's a choice. It's there. It's nothing but an opportunity. It's up to you if you want to seize it. I can give you the seed. That doesn't mean it's just going to grow a tree. You have to plant it, then take care of it. You've got to water it. It's got to get some sun. It's going to have to deal with some rain, wind, and dirt as well. But then it will grow. But you got to fucking plant it, man. You really do. I guess the final thing I could say that comes to mind is time. Time, I think, is the X factor for elite lifters, elite athletes in general. Time. You need time for your habits, for your positive choices to compound. It's that simple. You know, it takes time for that to happen. So you got to trust the process in a way. January 1st is coming up fast. 2026 is upon us. And I think now is the time to decide who it is we choose to be. What do you want? What's your vision? Where are you going? And what are you willing to do to get there? Now is the time to start making changes. And I always tell all of my clients, whether they're my mindset mentorship clients or my actual training clients, my athletes, I always tell them, aim as high as you fucking can. Period. Forget about the pressure. Forget about all that nonsense. But aim as high as you can. Dream as big as you possibly can. Like always. So I want you to apply that to what you're doing now. And on that note, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I am still taking athletes. I keep my roster relatively small. I won't lie to you. I am very selective, but it's mainly because I care about building a relationship with my athletes, and I want to make sure I can provide a great service. I have a less is more approach when it comes to my coaching, so I like to pay more attention to less people. Plain and simple. That's how I roll. My specialty is strength and hypertrophy. I consider myself like the king of power building. I feel like I've done a great job of learning how to develop lots of muscle tissue, build density, size, and actually look a little bit like a bodybuilder while also becoming one of the strongest athletes in the world, all doing this naturally. So that's my specialty. If you want to learn how to run a marathon, yeah, I'm not your guy. But if you're looking to get super jacked and super strong, whether or not you have a busy schedule, you're a father or a mother, or you got kids, in other words, or you got schoolwork, whatever, we can work around it, all right? But if that's the case, then like I said, I am your guy. The last thing I'm going to say here, and I'll leave you with this. Greatness is not born in triumph. It is built through tribulation. People want the crown, not the crucifix. People want the monument. They want the big moments, but not the misery. If you're going to take the island, burn the ships. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.